Now, on asylum seekers and the boats, I talked about green shoots before, at least Chris Uhlmann did, but there might have been more than the odd green shoot starting to emerge now on this issue. When you look at the evidence from the ground that the asylum seekers themselves are talking about this, and they understand it, and they just might decide it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, well, Malaysia, and there's been a lot of criticism this week of Malaysia and the way they treat asylum seekers and the lack of rights that asylum seekers have in Malaysia. Now, people who are trying to get on boats to come to Australia know that, and I think they would rather sort of hang out in Indonesia and work out a way to get to Australia than be sent to Malaysia. And I think that message is starting to get around. I don't think it was very well handled in the first place, the way the government announced it and tried to explain it, and it's still not a done deal with Malaysia, but I think there is a bit of a message there, and the government is hoping that they've budgeted for 750 arrivals this year, which is a huge drop from last year, and interestingly, it's the same number that the Howard government budgeted for in the first year after the Tampa. That's what they're aiming for. They're aiming for that sort of reduction.
Well, if it is reduced to those sort of numbers, it's not the issue it is right at the moment.
The other great irony of the week, though, was that you had human rights advocates actually saying Nauru was a more humane system than Malaysia, for the simple reason that when the Howard government had the Nauru facility, we ran it. It was our people who looked after the refugee seekers there. Basically it was an Australian facility.
Well, we'll go to that because the human rights, the High Commissioner for Human Rights was here during the week. She was critical of, she was, for a start, said to politicians on all sides, stop demonising the issue. Spoke out against mandatory detention, and then she said she was unhappy with the idea of sending people back to Malaysia where they might not be treated as well as they would be in Australia. We'll have a listen to this.
The government responded to this by informing me that the agreement will include written undertakings to protect asylum seekers. However, in my view, assurances are not a sufficient protection. There is concern by the international community on where Australia is going with its treatment of asylum seekers, with following a policy of mandatory detention.